Hey everyone, my name is Rooster and welcome back to Mechabellum. In today's video, I want to highlight a comp that I've kind of been cooking up lately, and even though it might seem memey, it really isn't. It does involve linked regen sledge, but I genuinely think this is a pretty strong build in the right scenario. I'll be playing against X, who's also known as Laumam, 2300, 2400 players, so we're at the tippy top of Mechabellum. And yeah, sledge opener here, fangs, cost control that will allow me to get into another sledge. I would recommend you don't try this into spider. That's been the only thing for me that's really hard to deal with, but anything else, you're gonna be pretty much fine. You can play around with the setup a little bit, but I like to set up in such a way that I'll allow myself to put more sledges in between the sledges I have later on to create the infamous link. I think the link will hold as long as there is no more than 2 squares between the sledgehammers. So what you'll see me do is put sledgehammers down, 1 square, then a pack of fangs, 1 square, another sledge, etc, etc. And you'll see that what I'm running here is going to be Mech Rage, Link, Field Maintenance. I'm currently running EMP instead of the armor. I don't think you need armor if you have this. If you've got big sledges, honestly, regen Link is going to have the exact same effect as armor, if not more. With cost control, again, I can pick up another sledge. I like to prioritize just picking up sledges or chaff on round 1. No marksman. Even if you think you lack DPS, marksmen aren't going to solve your problem. It's not that great on aggro, so I prefer to just get the setup, and then round 2 I'll often be playing for a Phoenix, which will also deal with my anti-air problems for the early game. Opponent here is a Farseer specialist, so we'll have to look out for that on round 4 and starts with marksmen and sledgehammers. Looks like the crawler though is pushing into tower. A debuff here would be fantastic for me, and I mean, even though I'm cost control, you really don't feel the lack of stats too much when you're playing sledges in this manner. And by the way, at the end, I'll show you some variants. Other games I've played that I might have lost, but I'll kind of showcase you what happened in those games, how close they were, and how I could solve them. Because I haven't played enough yet, I think, to master this, but I've started to get more ideas of how powerful this tech really is and the ways that you can kind of combat different responses to it. Fire Badger shows up this turn, picked up by Laumam. And for me, honestly, I mean, Hound here could be a pickup if you just want to go for some deployments. Fire Badger is definitely good too, though. Level 2 Fire Badger on round 2, very powerful. And we could throw it onto the top corner here. Crawler has been added, but not that we know that. But with a little bit of hindsight, could end up putting something there, and it's going to be hard for our opponent to defend because he doesn't have any space to put, let's say, a Rhino in front. We do pick up the Fire Badger here as well. Just going to put it on the left side. Phoenix picked up, of course, and another Crawler. Nice thing about cost control. And opponent just puts the Fire Badgers vertically. Let's see how this goes. Phoenixes get an insta-lock onto the enemy Fire Badgers. We should be able to get rid of that somewhat soon. Left side, my Fire Badger is doing a good job too, although we did get flanked by the enemy and some crawlers, which means I will lose the tower. And with those 9 seconds of debuff, will we have enough left alive? I'm not too sure. Fire Badgers on left side being dealt with, those marksmen, picking up levels. And the Sledgehammer is still fighting valiantly alongside the Phoenixes. If we can kill some of these marksmen, maybe we're fine, but I think it's a little bit too much enemy units remaining. Crawlers will walk in as well, distract the Phoenixes, and so round 2 will be going over to my opponent. Good use of the flank. And we will be taking some damage. Round number 3. Incendiary Bomb shows up. Not the most... It's not the scariest thing. I mean, even level 2 sledgehammers will burn up to that if they stay into it for too long, but I don't think I can really care about it too much. I go for the underground instead. A little bit worried my opponent might go for that. The downside is I am cost control and defense enhancement has already been picked up, so I'm not even sure if I would have won this, even if I did try to defend the underground. Opponent goes for the incendiary instead, however. It's a good play too, hard to not go for that. Pick up an Arclight to deal with these crawlers on the flank. It's, I think, the most efficient way to deal with this. Normally I would probably put a crawler in front, maybe click drill, but considering that I'm cost control, that's going to be a tough fight to take on. More marksmen being picked up here. And I still have 250 left to spend. Mostly just picking up some crawlers. And then next turn we'll start to probably get some more sledges. I will often be clicking Mech Rage first, because when you do this, you do need your sledgehammers to clear. And what I've really liked doing is kind of playing on the one side that I started playing on round 1, and then also go all out on the flank. Just kind of, yeah, boxing in my opponent. You will see here though, fire with the new effect will do quite a lot of damage even to the leveled sledgehammers that we have. And so I'm not too sure we'll be able to take the win here. Fire Badger's left side doing a good job killing some crawlers and managed to take down some sledgehammers too, but I think we'll have to forfeit this round as well. That spell a little too powerful for us to deal with, so we'll be taking a little bit more damage, but I'm not too afraid of the enemy comp here. The only thing that would make alarm bells go off for me would be an early Scorpion. I think if your opponent goes for an early Scorpion, you have to pivot out, go into like some air, but you can't go for the Link play, because I think Scorpions are better against Link Sledge than they are against normal Sledge, and that already tells you something. But as long as anything else shows up, you'll probably be fine. And we don't take too much damage, considering the spell killed like half of our army. Phoenix leveled up. Newly spawned in Sledgehammer also picks up a level. Very nice. And here we've got Quick Teleport. Now there's a bunch of spells and items available too, but I don't really need them since my army is going to be about numbers mostly. And while the Orbital could be okay, but man, Quick TP is so powerful for what I have in mind, which I'm not too sure my opponent is quite ready for. Does get the Farseer, puts it in the back, and now we just buy more Sledgehammers. And I think those will find their way onto the enemy flank. Yep, there we go. 7 spaces between those Sledgehammers, Fangs in front. And we just start building the box of sledges. We currently already have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, a 6th sledge picked up now. We have a Fire Badger as well. And even more, I think, will find its way onto that flank. Yep, there we go. Opponent now going for Hacker, which can be a good response, but it's not too scary to deal with. One of the ways that you can deal with Hacker, outside of things like, well, buying air units and barriers and small units, is simply having a lot of hit points, right? Hackers do have to hack the entirety of your units, and it just so turns out that damage sharing increases the hit points of Sledgehammers by 120%. Add to that field maintenance, another 30, and some of the tower bonuses, and it can be quite tricky to hack all of these sledges efficiently before going down. Quick TP helps us out a lot, which means that we can deal with the enemy crawlers as we still spawn in. Fire Badgers will kill quite a few of our Sledgehammers, so we don't even have to kill that many of our own units. And in the meantime, the level 2 Sledgehammers have arrived, killing that Hacker. Level 2 Phoenixes, now able to deal with the Farseer. I think we'll be able to grab a tower debuff as well. I haven't clicked a single tech just yet, by the way. Temp speed will be important too, but we got to get to our setup first. And so now we just get to see the Sledgehammers do what they do best, although these marksmen, I have to say, are chewing through my army quite efficiently. Phoenixes managed to deal with the units that were on our flank, and it looks like we do end up losing, but only 200 damage, not the worst. And then on round 5, we get more unit reinforcements, and I have to say Phantom Ray here looked quite appealing. Could have gone for something like the Rhino as well, but it was easiest for me to just put this on the flank, and at the same time, Rhino could get hacked too, so I just kind of wanted to diversify and get into air. And this is quite hard to deal with for my opponent. If he doesn't know that it's coming, should allow me to instantly lock on. I also did this because Fire Badgers are on the line, so he can't, you know, make sure that these shots are not going to hit any important units. More Fire Badgers being added. And now we finally pick up that Mech Rage. Should allow us to, 1, chaff clear a bit better, deal more damage, but also move in faster as we get that 4 bonus move speed. Some Fangs being added to the flank here as well. I just want to make sure that this Hacker doesn't insta-lock. It doesn't really mind that the Fire Badgers get something to shoot at. As long as the sledgehammers get uptime, we should be completely fine. I also put a phantom here on the flank to make sure that we're protected. This phoenix that I like to put down often will have the back one on the line with the tower. That way we'll always turn if an opponent tries to flank me, and then the front one will be free to move forward. Phantoms, of course, already spawned in, really making good use out of the quick teleport there. And the damage here is not too bad. We could definitely consider picking up burst mode. Cheap tech should allow us to break the shield instantly and maybe even take down those fire badgers. Left side is looking a little bit worse for wear. There are some high level marksmen there, but as long as we're stalling, we should be okay. We get a nice tower debuff. And that level 2 hacker is somewhat stranded. Air units now making their way over. Final marksman will be going down. And as we take the second tower, that is going to be a pretty decent round with tons of damage, sending our opponent down to 2,800 hit points. Round number 6, Vulcan's Descent available. I should maybe try and play around that if my opponent wants to try and cheese. The rest is not that important. Photon coating doesn't really work against Hacker. Well, not really. Doesn't work at all against Hacker. So I just prefer to skip. I guess I could have given it to one of my Phantom Rays. That would have been a decent play, but I just want to have the money to be able to afford as many techs here as I can. And yeah, here we go. Damage sharing has now been clicked, and the Phantom Rays have been given burst mode. I also add another sledge here. I will have to move it though. I don't think I put this down correctly. It's a little bit tough, a little bit tricky to make sure that these guys link up when they're on the diagonal. And we add 2 more sledges to the flank to make sure all of these guys will be linked up. Every single of the level 1 sledges here has 7,000 hit points. The level 2's almost 15k. That's going to be rather difficult for a hacker to get through. Now, for those of you that don't know, Hacker will just ignore the link and will just hack individual sledges out of it. But it still takes an awful long time, and when you've got this many with Mech Rage, it really doesn't take too long to get rid of whatever is in front of them. Fire is back. Oil has been purchased as well. A bunch of missiles coming down to try and get rid of the Fangs, but look at this burst. Gone is that Fire Badger, and we're straight locked onto that level 1 Hacker. Gets taken down. And Hacker here trying to do its best, but look at how slowly it's hacking that sledgehammer. In the meantime, we've got, I mean, I don't even know how many sledgehammers moving in, dealing damage, getting rid of the shield, killing those hackers before they can even take over a singular sledge. Okay, there we go. One of them got taken over, but yeah. The army is just overwhelming. Left side is just stalling as we wanted. And the sledgehammers are now moving in. I mean, how beautiful is this? I haven't even clicked field maintenance yet. And we are just absolutely deathballing across the field on a turn where our opponent went for a lot of fire, mind you. Hacker will try and get the tower, but we get his first. And our leveled tower holds. Now, round number 7, nothing really shows up. Only some spells. Nothing too important. And here I am starting to do something that is quite important when you go for Link Sledge. Try and put some level 1s or keep some low level sledges in between the Link. The reason for this is that the way Link works is that it spreads any damage that a single sledge in the Link takes across all of the other sledges in the Link. This means that the lower level sledges, which inherently have less hit points, will be dying first. So if an opponent locks on with, say, some steel balls with range, like here, or a melter, or whatever it is, the Link will break at some point, and so you will save at least some of your higher level sledgehammers instead of the entire Link breaking if all of them were the same level. I add some wasps because my opponent went for anti-air marksman. And I think here we should still be quite fine. I didn't click regen, by the way. I think if I click regen, it might even be that the steel balls can't deal damage. And that is possible, yes. You can even out-heal a level 1 melter if you have enough sledges. And yeah, that steel ball play just really didn't work out too well. I mean, the death ball is just advancing perpetually. Takes down the tower again. No regard for that level. And that is just how you end a game in 7 rounds. And you will find that this works pretty efficiently. Like, there are many games I've played in high MMR against some of the best players where I'm pulling this off or getting close to pulling it off. Let me try and find another game for you guys, or another two. I'll find games where I happen to lose, but I'll kind of talk you through what happened and showcase you how you could get out of that situation or how you could close out the game. Alright, so this was a game that was played in the tournament against one of the strongest 501 players, Math is Might, and you can see similar setup again with these sledgehammers in the corners. Mech Rage has been clicked. We've managed to pick up some levels. I know this is against Tarantula, which I wouldn't recommend, but, well, I tried something out and I happened to get quite fortunate early on. Now, opponent is going for double shot fortresses, and, well, I know how it's going to end up, as he will click AA as well. I happen to have charge shot Phoenixes in this game. And it gets a bit out of control up to round 10. Opponent stabilizes and I end up losing, trying to play for EMP sledgehammers and never really, putting faith, right, in the Link and the regen techs that I am running, because I thought the double shot fortresses would get through them. But on round 7, as my opponent has 1200 hit points remaining, I could go for something like this. So that we take over, and then let's pick up the intensive training, which will allow me to level up this sledgehammer here. I can even move it onto this side, make sure that it is leveled, make sure that we pick up both of these techs, sell that rhino, transfer an item if we want to, and then pick up 2 more blue sledgehammers. I think we can even put them all over here, just bunch them up, and make sure that they stay in the Link. That way their damage again will get shared, and so it will be quite easy for the singular sledgehammers to heal back up whatever little damage they took. Still got some money left, so we can missile here, make sure that we missile the crawlers, and then I guess we have another one left in case we want to be extra safe and not lose too much on the right side of the board. And then with that, let's just see what happens, right? We needed to deal 1234 damage. Opponent goes for underground there. And just look at this whirlwind sledgehammer, unable to do anything to our Link. You can see the level 1 there is struggling a little bit. Now gets split off from the rest, so taking a bit more damage. Will eventually, I think, go down to that spider. Yes, but the rest, those level 2 sledges, some of them with an item of course, are completely unfazed. Double shot fortress not doing a thing, as even though it hits for about 14k every 2 seconds, it gets spread across all of these sledgehammers and they just instantly heal it back up. And even the right side, this pack of 5, can tank it for a considerable amount of time, and we deal 1445 damage, which would have been lethal. So it just shows you how much this tech can do in the right situations, even against boards where you might think, well, Whirlwind Rhino is just going to be too much, right? Double shot Fortress surely will just one-shot the entire pack. If you just bunch it up correctly, you can end games like that. It's such a good tech combination to have on the bar, and it's pretty consistent. I'll even pull up another game that I played in the Serpentine Cup, and that'll be kind of the final idea I want to get out. Alright, so here we are, the final game. This was a game played in the Serpentine Cup, a best of 1 against Tungdil, and you can see a similar setup yet again. I already went into mechanical range, damage sharing, and field maintenance. You can see we're onto the flanks. Opponent is playing hackers here with some Mustang, charge shot arc lights. And this game went on for a bit too long, right? Opponent down to 822, but I wasn't quite able to close things out. Now, I did pick up elite crawlers early on. I was playing some improved Phoenixes too, as you can see here with the jump drive. But I just dilly-dallied for a little too long and things got out of control. Eventually, spells came back and I wasn't able to close it out and barely lost. But on round 10, with these sledgehammers, what I could have done, right, is go into crawlers a bit more. So let's take things over. And skip, as we don't need this. I had the elite crawler, so let's make sure that we loan temp speed is going to be important. Pick up more crawlers, and let's try and put those onto one side of the board. I'm going to go underground here as well, just to make sure that we get in a bit quicker. And then right side is looking a little bit tricky. I think the phoenixes I want to have on the right side as well. I'll leave maybe one phoenix on the right side to perhaps deal with, well, some of the units that are moving in. We do have hounds, so let's use them with some oil to burn whatever is coming in here. And then we should still have some money left, yes. Let's sell the sledges out of the top left because that hacker is feasting a bit too much. And then we can save this crawler pack from dying by mobile beaconing it in. We'll still have a little bit of money left. I think this one will be all the way in the back just so it arrives late because it currently doesn't have range. And then just pick up some levels here on the crawlers where possible. And then when we send this, you will see opponent actually does get overrun. Now this is kind of a classic counter to Hacker Mustang in general. Both units don't deal with crawlers well at all, so if you manage to get your hand onto some leveled ones, even if they're not elite crawlers in this case, but you just pick them up at level 2, you'll probably be just fine. And you can see here we're just overwhelming him, right? Running in, that's a level 3 tower, but with those phoenixes and sledgehammers I think we'll be fine. Flank does get hacked somewhat, but he doesn't really manage to create that much of a link, and as we're now moving in, those replicate crawlers, which I picked up very early on, are doing exactly what I want them to do. Okay, Spider there sadly doesn't quite get taken out, but I think we should lock onto that hacker pretty soon and be able to take it down. And since we only needed to do about 800 hit points worth of damage, this would have been sufficient. So what these games show you is that don't be too afraid if you try this out to just click the text that you need, right? Don't be too afraid to click damage sharing and field maintenance unless you're up against Scorpion. Everything else will usually be completely fine. Maybe if your opponent is into melters for whatever reason, don't click it, but you will often be in a better shape than you think. And then try and close things out with things like crawlers, right? Because a lot of the opponents will try to go for things like hackers if they're not going Scorpion, or something of the sort. And yeah, if you can make sure that they just get stuck on some of the, well, harder to deal with units, if you manage to get them into things like Mustang, right, Crawler are going to be your best friend. Again, try this out. Let me know how you do down below. If, well, you make it work, please let me know. If it doesn't work out for you, you're also welcome to say so. Leave a thumbs up if you liked the video. Subscribe if you want to stay up to my latest content, and check me out on Twitch if you want to see me play live. With that being said, take care, guys, and see you in the next video. Bye-bye.